Now repeat. I really wanna get with your style and your techniques and put it on repeat. I'm thinking maybe I could give you something you can repeat.
Hello world, and welcome back to another episode of S.I.S. This one is a very special episode. There's a lot going on in the world with the interruption of COVID-19, better known as the coronavirus. Here in the Bahamas, we're practicing social distancing. We are also under emergency orders, curfews, lockdowns. Our life has changed in this very moment. A lot of persons are home majority of the time. And what I wanted to do was take a moment and shoot this special episode of S.I.S. to give a bit of inspiration and a word of encouragement to everybody out there. So I'm going to tell a story.
Yeah, I love her story.
Oh my God, that was so dry. But I'm going to tell a story. And what it is about is I touched on it during Dreams and Nightmares when we did that episode.
The live.
No, when we did the pre-recorded, remember for the beginning of the year when I said I left one relationship?
It's been so much.
Yeah. So we've been doing live as well.
Yeah.
And this is actually from one of the lives, and I just decided to record it because I don't know who it may touch, who it may reach. And I believe God carries us, takes us through things in order to minister to other persons. So you ready?
The floor is yours. It's gone.
So I was in a relationship, a very recent one, and
another one.
No. So, this was the one I spoke about in Dreams and Nightmares. This was the one I was with for. I wasn't with him for a long time. It was a little over a year. And we lived together. It was something she didn't know about me. She didn't know I was living with him, but we was living together.
That's what happened when you want to be fast. See, God broke.
Let me tell you something. You don't understand what I was going through at the time.
You want to be woman.
So, we lived together, and in the first 5 months, it was beautiful. It was like, it was, I don't know how to explain it. Everything felt so right. And then by the 6th month, like, that's when things took a turn. And we started arguing at least once a month for the first 2 months. And the arguments used to be intense. And then it went into twice a month. And those intensified to the point where, like, we go to bed and we don't even speak to each other. Like, we're literally laying next to each other and we don't speak to each other. And we wouldn't speak to each other for like 2 days.
So how much I used to argue before you moved in with him?
None.
So you moving with a man that you and I no argument with? Okay, Disney.
So,
it was living a fairy tale.
For sure I was. I really was. Because I told you earlier what I was trying to get away from. So we argued and it intensified. And I just used to go to bed a lot and I used to cry because it's like you in love and you trying to convince yourself this is what love is. And I used to be so mentally drained. And I'll never forget, like, these were the 2 times I knew when I was at my lowest point in the relationship. And he moved off the island. And I was by my mom when I was getting ready because I started to spend more time by my mom. And that's when you really know things going downhill. Like, you don't even feel comfortable in the house anymore. And I was getting ready by my mom to do a hosting event. Now, to my knowledge, he was off the island. And
don't cry.
I I saw a post with him from another girl that he was in town. I didn't know. Like I said, I didn't know. And he called me and he was like, where you is, bro? And it was just like a huge argument. And, oh, you gonna go do this thing? And I don't even know you all about doing this and doing that. I don't want you here no more. Get out. Like 10 minutes later, I got a picture and he pushed all my stuff to the door in the house, all of it. And I hopped in my car and I raced there. And I went on the phone and I told the person who I booked the event with, I can't come no more. Because I felt guilty. So I went there and like literally when I was walking through the front room area, like I had to crawl over my stuff to get to the room where he was. And I begged. I begged for him to stay. And everything was like, everything was fine at that point in time. After the argument and the begging, cool, we back to normal. And then like a month later, it was a holiday weekend, and I went out to get ice cream. And we had security cameras around. So he saw when I left, when I came back. And he called me, where you been? I went for ice cream. You ain't been for no ice cream? You been this place and you been that place. Big argument. And it was so bad. I had to take a picture of my receipt and send it to him and say, I've been for ice cream. And I remember me crying that night, and I did this cry of anxiety. And I remember me saying to myself, this ain't how this is supposed to be. In a way, this what love supposed to be. And after that day, like I started to move piece, move my stuff piece. Like Tyler Perry say, like the bird. Just piece, I was moving my stuff. And thinking back to that situation, it brings me to think about what some women are going through now. Having to be in a house, locked down with somebody. They might not be physically abusing you, but mentally. We don't talk too much about the mental abuse. Sometimes we feel like these toxic traits are normal. But now you're in a house with somebody, you're locked down with this person, and it's like you feel like you can't escape. And I can imagine how drained they are, because I know what it feels like. And I know what it feels like to feel like you don't know what to do. You don't know your way out. It's so depressing, and sometimes you feel like you can't talk to anybody because we do this thing that, whereas, this never happened to me before. Like, we literally choose to call women who go through things like this, oh, you's an ass for letting that happen. No, it's just that I was at a vulnerable time in my life, and somebody came along to make me feel so valuable and so beautiful. And then you get entangled into this relationship, and things just take a turn for the worse, and you don't know what to do because you're embarrassed to say it didn't work. You're embarrassed to say this happened to me, because we're conditioned to think that you can't admit that you're hurting. So after I left that relationship, I went and I got hella selfish. Because I knew I had to do some things for myself. And I always say this on Sis, but I mean this wholeheartedly. I don't hate him at all. I hate the fact that I allowed that to happen to me. And I hate the fact that I wasn't honest with myself and what was going on with myself mentally from my personal surroundings. Because that's what drove me to that point. And I just hate the fact that I wasn't honest with myself. I have nothing but love for him. But sometimes we can't be blaming the other person. We have to blame ourselves because we allowed it to happen. And you have to take time out and you have to get selfish. And that's what I did after I came out of that relationship. I started to say, Danielle, why do you continue to allow yourself to get in relationships that ain't working? I had to do some seeking, some soul searching for myself. I had to put myself on lockdown, which a lot of us are on right now. And just a lockdown, whereas not where you getting entangled up with like going out or talking with friends. No, I literally had to seclude myself from the outside world and spend a lot of time talking to God. Because at the time when I was going through my ups and downs from that relationship to the next relationship that went south, I had this event to plan and I had to put on a facade to the public that everything was okay. And the only time I could really catch myself and catch my breath is like 1 o'clock in the morning. And only the good Lord up at that hour. And that's the only person I could have talked to. So I spent a lot of time talking to him, and with me spending a lot of time talking to him, I heard from him so much. And I understood so much about myself because I took a step back from everybody and I just was looking at myself, trying to figure out what can I do to better myself, to keep myself from stop getting in these situations. Because it has to be something within you because you are what you attract. And that's the bottom line. You are what you attract. So reevaluate yourself, regroup. Take this time to, you're forced in isolation. Take this time to really and truly speak to the Creator because He's the only one that really knows what you were created for. So when I say that He broke me, I don't mean that the man broke me, because it's very easy for us to come out one relationship and go into the next. It's very easy. I'm a pretty girl. I know that now. But when God breaks you, He breaks you so that He could mold you and make you realize what you were destined to be. So you have to allow God to break you, because many nights I wanted to pick up my phone and, call the slide or somebody you could choose to talk to make yourself feel. I can't let that out. I don't have a slide anymore. With me spending time with God, I let that go. I let that go because it's not needed. Really and truly, it's not needed. And I put down flesh, as we would say, in faith. And I really, really stretched my hand out to God because I just was tired. I was at a point where I was so tired. And I cried in front of a whole lot of people just now.
I tell you, don't cry.
I really didn't mean to.
I told you not to, though. All I can do is that they're there. There's nothing else I can do but that. But I mean, when you go through things like that, I can understand how sometimes that, and you could see that you were reliving, going through, walking over your clothes to get back to the room, and then being on your knees, and you relived exactly how you felt in that moment. So you decided to, so you felt that. You felt that you had to cry to get it out. And crying is good. Crying is really good. Sometimes, you just need to scream. Sometimes you have to let it out.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's good. They're there. That's the most I could do. But it's good that you got it out, and it's good that you grew from that place. I think that that when you go into another relationship after previously ending one, especially how it ended in such I guess a weird spot, and you didn't even find time for yourself. You didn't find time to grow. You still went into another relationship seeking something that a man can't give you.
Yeah.
Only God could give you what you was looking for.
Yeah.
So you didn't have that time. So I totally get it. I totally understand. I don't feel like you're an idiot for trying to find love. Everybody wants to find love. Everybody is looking for someone to love them. And that's what happens with a lot of different persons, like even with men, like they look for things to fill a void.
Yeah.
They could turn to alcoholism. They can turn to being sexually immoral. They turn to a weed. They turn to a lot of different things. But what they don't understand is that void place, that place where you feel like you need something, the something that you need isn't material.
Yeah.
You need a connection. And that connection that you need is the connection with God. And once you find that connection with God, remember, you go back to being that full circle, and then you begin to find your infinite person. And you are able to grow inside a healthy relationship. But you can't jump from one relationship to the next. You have to be able to focus on yourself before I feel like you needed to get into another relationship. I feel like that was a step that you need to take, because like I was saying, like you have to have a connection. Well, you should have a connection that's not a vice with God. You should have a connection with God. And then on top of that, even if you're not complete and then you start dating somebody, if they don't really have a connection with God either, it's going to then play into your life, and then you start to pick up on all of their bad habits. And then, you have your soul ties. You start to see whatever they used to do inside your future relationships. It's best that you fill that void. And stay away from these unhealthy relationships. That's why I'm happy you single right now, girl.
I am. And you know what? I enjoy it. And I think the reason why I enjoy being single, even now when on lockdown, I'm not tempted, I'm not interested in anything, because I think because I actually took that time, it was a whole year I took. Like, now, it's not going to happen in 2-3 months. It was a whole year I took. And I just went through my isolation period and my shutdown period. And I just focused on me. Like, I did things I wanted to do. In terms of what was in my reach. And I also wrote down like things I would like to do, and I put myself into a bigger picture, and I really and truly connected so close to God. And don't think in that year time it was all gravy. Like, I still had times when I broke down and I cried, but it wasn't that cry of anxiety, like that hysterical cry. How can I describe that cry when you gasping because you honestly and truly don't know what to do? It's anxiety. It wasn't an anxiety cry. It was just a cry of relief and a cry of, okay, I don't want to get stuck here. And I've learned from the past experience, like, how to dust myself off. Because don't think like I know life ain't gonna be gravy from here, but I'm just ready for it. And because I know myself even more, I know, this is going to sound cliche, but I know the plan God has for me. And that's what keeps me going.
See, the thing about connecting with God through all of this isn't saying that you're not going to have a storm. Of course, you're going to have a storm, but the point is that you're going to have peace within the midst of the storm. So the storm is going to still happen. You're still going to go through life. I mean, that's what life is. It's ups and downs. And the storm is meant to strengthen you, not to put you down, not to take you out. So once you have that peace, and especially through a time like this, once you have peace, you can honestly make it through anything. The peace of God.
I agree. I completely agree. And it's so refreshing. So, story time.
But wait, before you go on to story time, I think you need to clarify for the people if you cheat on that man.
No, I did not. I did not. I am, when I'm in a relationship, I'm a very faithful person, because it takes a lot out of me to actually be attracted to somebody. Like, I'm not just attracted to people. You could look good, but that don't mean I'm attracted to you. So it takes a lot for me to be attracted to you. And that's what honestly made me say, you know what? I need to slow down and I need to pump my brakes, because it's something with me. Because if I'm not as easily attracted to people, why do I keep on getting attracted to men that are not compatible with me?
That's your thing. Well, that was your thing.
It was my thing.
I mean, what Sierra say? You always want a thug. It's some of the thug.
And it wasn't even like thuggish, you know. And my boyfriend before him was excellent, but it's just that I was growing, and it was like we was going down to different paths. So when I got into
the boyfriend before him,
you know, I had the boyfriend before him. Now that was a long-term relationship. You know.
I know. Oh,
okay, there we go. See?
Okay.
This made me sound terrible.
I mean, listen, every episode. It's another one.
The boyfriend before him, from I've been out of school, I've only had, 3 boyfriends. So the boyfriend before him.
That's the 3 that she counts.
Yeah, one time I had a hot girl. Anyway, so...
You know, you always have them said who's like, yeah, I could call you a boyfriend.
So the boyfriend before him, we just went our separate ways, and then with the situation I just talked about, that man, it goes back to we want to fix men. I wanted to fix somebody else when I really should have been paying attention to myself. It goes to that. You alluded to that before, that the problem with a lot of women is we want to fix men. Yes, I was one of those women. I wanted to fix somebody. I saw the issues, you know.
I knew it was kill me about women who want to fix men. That after y'all get y'all heart broke, then all of a sudden it's, well, you know what? I ain't doing this for no man no more.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
I'm like, sis, you was just trying to turn a thug into a priest.
But I don't agree. What I do honestly and humbly do agree with is the fact that, number one, you are what you attract. So when you notice a trend, especially if you notice you was in that type of relationship, you need to take a step back and you need to deal with yourself. You need to isolate yourself. I go back to this word isolation. You need to, because that's the God honest truth. Don't say, oh, I single and I focusing on me, and then you out here, there, everywhere. You ain't taking time to literally and truly focus on yourself. Focus on yourself. Write down what you like about yourself. Write down what you don't like about yourself. Do all those things. Talk to God. Pray. Be open. Have an open mind to things. Try to look at life like you never looked at life before. Focus on yourself. And that's why another thing I have implemented too is, and this has nothing to do with focus on yourself, but you spoke about soul ties. I've taken an act of celibacy because so story time.
Wait, what?
Story time.
Put it on repeat. I'm thinking maybe I could give you something you could replete. And put it on repeat. It's kinda getting heated, had to put it on pause. I ain't wanna be that broad you in the car, but I really wanna get with your style and your technique. And put it on repeat. Had a nice frame, he was tatted from the neck down. Met a couple months ago, but sorta new friends now. See, I was with somebody when he tried to put the Mac down. Luckily for me, that nothing but an ex now. Coincidentally, I kinda knew it when we met that he would be somebody that I maybe would regret yet.